The New Thing, a Silicon Valley story, detailed long version. Michael Lewis's The New Thing, a Silicon Valley story is a captivating narrative about the explosive rise of the Internet during the 1990s, told through the life and ventures of Jim Clark, a Silicon Valley visionary who founded three of the most influential tech companies of the era, Silicon Graphics, Netscape Communications, and Halcyon. The book provides an in-depth exploration of Clark's ambitious and unconventional entrepreneurial journey, weaving together the development of the Internet industry, the rise of the dot-com boom, and the societal forces that shaped Silicon Valley during its transformative years. Jim Clark, the relentless visionary. Jim Clark is introduced as a driven and somewhat enigmatic figure who embodied the spirit of Silicon Valley during the Internet boom. Lewis offers a detailed account of Clark's early life and career, from his roots as a professor at Stanford University to his ventures in the tech industry. Clark's first success was Silicon Graphics, a company he founded to revolutionize computer graphics, which ultimately became a leader in visual computing for the entertainment, engineering, and scientific sectors. His success with Silicon Graphics would later fuel his desire to tackle more ambitious goals and create disruptive technologies that would change the way people interacted with the world. However, Clark's dissatisfaction with Silicon Graphics' direction led him to leave the company and embark on new ventures, driven by his desire to create the new thing, a term he coined to describe the next big breakthrough. His appetite for innovation was insatiable, and he sought to find ways to make the Internet ubiquitous in everyday life, despite the challenges and risks involved. Netscape, the birth of the web and the dot-com boom. Netscape Communications, Clark's second company, would become the centerpiece of the new thing. Netscape's creation was motivated by Clark's belief that the Internet could become the world's ultimate communication and business tool. In collaboration with Marc Andreessen, who had co-created the Mosaic web browser, Clark set out to develop Netscape Navigator, a web browser that would allow people to navigate the Internet with ease and speed. The rapid success of Netscape was a defining moment in the history of the Internet. Lewis traces the company's journey from its initial startup phase in the mid-1990s to its 1995 IPO, which was one of the most successful and heavily publicized offerings of its time. Netscape's IPO marked the beginning of the dot-com boom, ushering in a wave of speculative investment in Internet-based companies. Clark's vision, combined with the brilliance of Andreessen and other key figures at Netscape, captured the imagination of both investors and consumers, making the Internet feel like an immediate and transformative force. Netscape's impact went far beyond just creating a popular browser, it was emblematic of the rapid growth and excitement surrounding the Internet. The company's rise also represented a shift in how technology companies were valued. In the past, companies were valued based on tangible assets, earnings, and market share. However, Netscape, despite its lack of profits, was able to achieve a sky-high market capitalization based on the promise of future growth. This new model of valuing companies, focusing on potential rather than profitability, became a hallmark of the dot-com era and was adopted by many other Internet startups. Silicon Valley's cult of innovation and risk. One of the major themes of the new thing is the culture of Silicon Valley, a place where innovation, risk-taking, and disruption are not just encouraged but celebrated. Lewis delves into the unique mindset of Silicon Valley's entrepreneurs, who believed that they were building a future that would fundamentally alter the way society functioned. This belief in technological utopianism is contrasted with the impatience and recklessness that characterized the era. Silicon Valley's focus on the new thing meant that ideas were often pursued with a sense of urgency and optimism, disregarding the risks of failure. In many ways, this culture was driven by a sense of rebellion against traditional business norms. Entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley saw themselves as outsiders, visionaries who could disrupt existing industries and reshape the world in their image. Clark embodied this ethos, as did other key figures in the dot-com boom. He was willing to bet everything on the promise of the Internet, often sacrificing short-term profits for the sake of rapid growth. This approach mirrored the broader cultural shift happening in Silicon Valley at the time, where success was defined not by stable earnings but by exponential growth, user acquisition, and market share. However, the narrative also reflects the darker side of this culture. While it led to tremendous success for some, it also fueled overconfidence and speculative excess. Companies with little more than an idea or a business plan became incredibly overvalued. Clark's own experiences with Netscape reveal the tension between visionary leadership and the need for sustainable business models. Despite his brilliance, Clark's ventures were not immune to the pressures of profitability and market expectations. Healthion, Clark's ambitious move into healthcare. In the years following Netscape's success, Clark turned his attention to a new industry, healthcare. His third venture, Healthion, was founded with the goal of using the internet to streamline the healthcare industry and reduce inefficiencies in the system. Healthion aimed to create a platform that would bring together patients, doctors, and insurers in a more integrated, digital space. Lewis explores how Clark's visionary approach to healthcare mirrored the ideals he had applied to Netscape and Silicon Graphics, using technology to break down barriers and improve people's lives. However, Healthion faced many challenges. The healthcare industry was far more entrenched and resistant to change than the tech sector, and Clark's insistence on rapid innovation often clashed with the realities of healthcare policy, regulation, and consumer behavior. Despite the promising vision behind Healthion, it struggled to gain traction in the market. Cassidy discusses how the company's ambitious goals were tempered by the slow-moving nature of the healthcare system, which was dominated by regulations, entrenched practices, and a lack of uniformity. Healthion's story is a cautionary tale about the limits of Silicon Valley's ethos of rapid disruption. The company's eventual decline highlights the difficulty of transforming industries that are resistant to change, no matter how advanced the technology might be. The dot-com bubble and the rise of speculation. The new thing also provides a detailed examination of the speculative nature of the dot-com bubble. As Netscape's success ignited the stock market and sparked a flood of investment in internet companies, many investors began to see the internet as a quick path to enormous wealth. The promise of the new economy, an economy driven by the internet, led to irrational exuberance, as companies were valued based on potential rather than actual performance. Lewis chronicles how this speculative frenzy played out, with investors eagerly piling into any internet-related company, no matter how dubious the business model. The culture of fast money and high risk created an environment where caution and due diligence were often discarded. The media, Wall Street analysts, and venture capitalists all contributed to the mania, hyping companies that had no proven track record and little chance of achieving long-term profitability. This speculative bubble would eventually burst, as the reality of overvalued stocks and unsustainable business models became apparent. Lewis details how the inevitable collapse of the dot-com market impacted companies like Netscape, as well as the broader tech sector. The aftermath of the bubble left many investors and entrepreneurs with massive losses and disillusionment, but it also set the stage for a new phase of internet development that focused on sustainability and profitability. Conclusion: a legacy of change. In conclusion, the new thing is a vivid and insightful account of the rise and fall of the dot-com era, told through the lens of Jim Clark's ambitious journey. Through his story, Lewis examines the nature of innovation, the culture of Silicon Valley, and the speculative excesses that defined the internet boom and bust. While the dot-com bubble ultimately ended in disappointment for many, the technological advances made during this period would have a lasting impact on the world. The companies and ideas that emerged during this time laid the foundation for the internet-driven world we live in today. The new thing is not only a historical account of a specific time and place but also a reflection on the nature of technological progress, the risks of speculation, and the forces that drive innovation.